Hey, it's me, your boomer consumer. I think this is going to be kind of a fun video. It's kind of a retro. We're talking about a retro style product, more of a lifestyle kind of product, not necessarily for an audiophile per se. Well, just welcome to the Edifier D32 tabletop speaker. The review of that coming up. But hey, first, I'd like to thank Edifier for sending me their D32 tabletop speaker for review. And well, let me show it to you. Oh, this thing is not light. It's chunky, weighing almost 7 pounds. I think it's 6 pounds, 6.7 pounds in that area. I gotta tell you, what attracted me to reviewing or even asking Edifier to review this is this. When I was a young man growing up, my grandma had a tabletop radio, and I would gravitate. Whenever we'd go over to Grandma's house, that's the first thing I would gravitate to was that tabletop radio. It was just so fascinating to me. And lots of our grandparents and even parents had one of these or something that looked like this somewhere in the house. That's how they got a lot of their entertainment back in the day. So anyhow, when I saw this, I thought, wow, I got to review this on my channel. But it's not a vintage radio. It is a tabletop speaker that can do Bluetooth, and it can do AirPlay, and it can accept an analog input, and it's got USB input with a DAC up to 24-bit, 96 kilohertz. It's got digital signal processing. It's got dynamic range control. This ain't mom or grandma's radio. This is a device that can fill a room with great sound for like $200. So why wouldn't you at least take a look at something like this? No, seriously. Who is this for? If you like a particular style, these are available in white and black, by the way, and I've got a link in the description down below if you're interested in this. They're I think, a very attractive looking speaker. This isn't necessarily a Bluetooth party speaker you can take to the beach or whatever. I think it's too heavy too. I don't believe there's any kind of real waterproofing to it. It's more designed to be, in your living room, on a tabletop, on a shelf, and it can fill your room with good sounding music, all right? You can use it with a television. For example, if you have the Apple TV, you could just AirPlay right to this thing. So it's got a lot of use cases for it for people who don't want the big hi-fi. This is more for music files. It's a lifestyle device, okay? It competes head-on with, say, Sonos, JBL, and other Bluetooth speakers, but I think it offers a little bit more in certain areas. I think Edifier did a really good job boxing this up. In the package, you get the D32 itself, and I gotta tell you, I was surprised by just how meaty this thing is, how solidly built it is, and how heavy that it is. You get a USB cable, and then you get a 3.0mm analog input cable to use with an auxiliary device. Say you want to plug a smartphone or a tablet that's got a headphone jack out, you would plug into that. You get a quick start guide. That's what's in the box. The specs on the D32. Now remember, this is a $200 device, and one I think would make a great gift for Christmas or birthday, especially somebody that really digs the nostalgic look. But let's just talk some about the specs of this thing. There's so many here that I have to refer back to my notes. Well, first, it's capable of up to 60 watts. It's powered by twin Class D amplifiers. You get two 1-inch Silk Dome tweeters and then one 4-inch mid-range driver. Okay, that's kind of that. You get full DSP on there with dynamic range control. It works with AirPlay 2 via 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz band. Supports Bluetooth 5.3, USB, and it has auxiliary inputs. Now, as far as USB codecs supported, the usual SBC, AAC, LDAC, and ALAC, not Bluetooth though, that's going to be AirPlay, right? So you get all those support, and we'll talk about the AirPlay in just a minute. Up to 11 hours of runtime on a full charge, because it is, You charge it up, and you can just take it with you and turn it on. The DAC supports up to 24-bit, 96 kilohertz, and the analog to digital converter, 24-bit, 96 kilohertz as well. The Bluetooth LDAC, right, up to 990 kilobits per second, and it can support up to 2 different connections. As I said, it weighs about 6.7 pounds. Now, there is an app that comes with it, the Connects app. And let's talk a little bit about my initial impressions of the D32. Well, it is kind of chunky. It is a bit heavy. This is not the type of portable speaker that you would throw in your backpack and, like I said, take to the pool or the beach or something like that, okay? It's, like I said, it's kind of big. It's kind of chunky. This is going to be, I think, more at home in a small room, a bedroom, a home office, something like that. I think that's, now, of course, you could take it outside, put it on a picnic table, but I'm just saying this isn't exactly light and easy to transport. I love the overall look. I am a real sucker for vintage and retro looks on gear. And I think a lot of people are. I think the stuff just should have some kind of style to it. The braided grill looks great. The case is MDF. It is a handcrafted MDF wooden case on there. You get the accordion style controls, which are pretty nifty. The overall design with the tune ports really add to the sound quality of the D32. Now, the AirPlay. That was kind of tricky for me to set up. For whatever reason, it took a long, long time to connect to my wireless network in order to use AirPlay. And a few times it just refused to work. But after about a few days, every time it seems to work just fine. I really like the USB and auxiliary inputs. I do think it should come with the remote. The controls are very, very simple. You have a source selector, and there's like 4 different colors. White is AirPlay. Let's see, green is USB, I think. Blue is, of course, Bluetooth, and green is, I think, for auxiliary input. Other than that, it's like an accordion style. You get the volume up and down, play, pause. Very simple to operate this tabletop speaker. Now, I have a variety of music that I use to demo anything with, and I know this is not going, and it would not be fair to compare this to, my Kef Q350s or Q150s or my Wharfdale Lintons or any type of passive speaker. Not even a fair comparison, I think, with some other high-end powered speakers. Now, this has to stand by itself and accept it for what it is, which is a fun nod to a different era, but yet has modern sound. I think that's what you got to look at. So I think the S&Q, the sound quality of the D32 is really, really good. Now, back to the music. One tune I listened to and that I tested with was Liquid Spirit by Gregory Porter. And I think it's just got an excellent beat to it. And so it didn't overly stress that little 4-inch mid-range woofer, but you can still feel that bass. You can still kind of feel it, which is kind of surprising to me. But the way it's tuned with the ports, it packs quite a bit of punch for a mid-woofer that small. Now, when I want to test mid-range, one song I really like is called Dark Angel by Blue Rodeo. It's kind of a melancholy, sort of bluesy song, but it's an excellent test of the mid-range. And it's also a good test for how it handles dynamic range. And the D32 never sounded like a little tiny cheap Bluetooth speaker. This thing does not. If you know Edifier, they make good sounding stuff. And this certainly can hold its own against, I think, any Bluetooth speaker on the market. One last track that I use for demo purpose. Actually, I listen to quite a few, but these are just ones I want to call out. Another one is From the Wall from Pink Floyd, Goodbye Blue Sky. That's just a wonderful track to test really any speaker amplifier. It just has such a nice range to it. It's just so beautifully recorded, and it's definitely one worth checking out. So for overall performance, I made these notes. Again, the sound quality, super impressive for what it is. It can fill a small room very nicely with music at a loud level, and it does not distort. You won't hear any buzzing, rattling, anything like that out of it. This is a solid made unit. The bass is great. Well, the bass is very good for what it is. It's not earth-shaking or anything like that, but remember, you got to appreciate it for what it is and what it does. Mids are good, never tiring, and the treble was performed this never in your face. It never sounded boxy. Just really did amaze me what good sound can come out of such a small enclosure. This is the part where I tell you what I truly think about the D32. First off, I think this thing could be in the heart of a small system. You could connect a CD player to it, a computer, a phone or tablet. You could hook up a turntable to it. You can use it with the I know with AirPlay, say with a television, you could AirPlay directly to it. So a lot of different uses. You can make this into the heart of a very small, elegant looking system, like $200. Portability is there, but it's, I think, a little bulky for most people to sling around and drag around with them. But I think it's very cool looking, and it's certainly very versatile. The DSP does a pretty doggone job. Remember what it's trying to work with. I think it does a really good job, especially with the bass on there. AirPlay works well, but like I said, it was a bit of a, excuse me, a little bit painful to get set up. The Connects app, well, it's just a bit basic. You have to be using Bluetooth mode for it to work. It won't work if you're in AirPlay. The app will simply tell you have to enable Bluetooth. You can set up some custom equalization. You really don't even need that app per se, but to make it work. But yeah, check it out. I would say, given the price and all the options that's available to it, you're getting a pretty good value. All in all, Bruce Naylor, the Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.